What is going on, everyone? My name is Abarca, and welcome to Badass Agents Podcast. Here in my studio, the legend, the one and only Jesse Abarca. Bro, what is going on, my brother? Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely, AZ, absolutely.
Dude, like, you are a monster. You are a monster. You just finished Ironman 70.3, right?
I did.
Talk to me about that, dude. Like, Ironman. Like, you know, some people are like, why would you do those type of things? What is some of the reasons that you actually like jump into doing an Ironman?
Oh, well, I was using this one in order to prepare for a full Ironman coming up November 18th here, actually in Arizona.
Okay, so you're gonna do the Ironman, the full Ironman here.
Which is
Go ahead and put that mic right up to your mouth there, bro. I know you're not.
There it is, right there.
There it is. I can hear your sultry voice now. But so you actually use that as the pregame, your I guess the practice run, right?
Yeah, just to be. I mean, it's different when you're competing. I just wanted to get a feel where my training was coming along, just to get a better understanding. Because in order to do 140 miles is it's gonna be a challenge. You know, it's gonna be a challenge, and I just need to know where I'm at today in order to be able to prepare.
How did you feel? How did you feel after the bike? And you didn't get to swim on this one, right?
I didn't get to swim on this one.
Thankfully, I think your prayers were answered, dude. Like, I was sitting back, I was like, I saw this little notice come on, and it said the fog. Due to the fog, there will be no swimming. And I was like, man, your prayers must have been powerful, bro, because
I think it was my sister Karen's prayer that was actually hers? Answered.
Maybe she foresaw something, huh?
AZ, I was prepared.
You were prepared.
Ready to go.
No, you were prepared. And, you know, I was actually really impressed. I think we're cut from the same cloth there that, you know, swimming wasn't our forte. I remember I did my first triathlon, and I'm giving myself too much credit. It was a sprint triathlon. But for me, it was like a real challenge, you know. And by no means is it an Ironman worthy, but it was very challenging. And here's the thing. I went into this whole game like really green. When I say green, like, you know, so part of the process is swimming. So, like, I started practicing how to swim like 3 weeks before the actual event. Hadn't been in the pool in years. Didn't know the proper strokes. And I said, okay, I'll just go for it. And I ended up doing it. But I seriously thought I was going to die, bro. Like, I was running in my mind when I got into the water. Okay, it was a Tempe, but it wasn't. It was a sprint triathlon at the Tempe, the same place you're gonna be. And it's funny because the start line is about 150 yards from where they tell us to jump into the water.
Okay.
By the time I got to the start line, I was exhausted. And Isaiah,
before you even started.
Before I even started, you have to swim 150 yards, and you know Isaiah was the same thing. Like, this is our first triathlon. And we're the only guys, we're like exhausted, okay? We're the only guys hanging off the pier. There's a little pier there. So we're the only two. There's hundreds of people in the water. And we're the only two holding on to the pier before the game even started. And I'm looking into the water, and I'm like seeing all these guys just kind of like having conversations. They were treading water. And I was trying to like, how in the hell are they doing that? How in the hell? Like, I tried the scissor kick. I tried like the oval, the infinity kick. I tried so many things.
Just float on your back,
bro. Like, that's how my skill sets. That's how poor they were. So during this entire process, dude, I seriously thought I was going to drown, and I was playing this whole thing of how it was going to turn out, and it was going to be like, in other news, a local broker and his buddy, a local broker, AZ Arajo,
and soldier,
ends up dying in a competition. I'm like, dude, that's not the way I want to go. That's not the way I want to go. But, dude, yeah. And today's weather, today's weather is 105. It's gonna be clear skies. It was gonna be like nonchalant. But that story ran through my mind. And when I saw we actually went together, right, to Lake Pleasant to do a practice. And, you know, that was your first experience with open water. So you were mentally prepared because you did it very well. You almost did that mile that day the first time you went in there.
That's right.
But what does it take to get to a point where you want to compete at that level? Like, how do you wake up one day and say, I want to do an Ironman?
Well, you know, we started cycling about a year ago.
Yeah.
Never thought I would have ever cycled. Never thought I would invest money in cycling equipment.
Dude,
And
that cycling equipment is like expensive, dude. As a matter of fact, I'm picking up my bike today.
yeah, that's right.
You're coming with,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna. You're gonna be like popping out your credit card too.
Another investment in myself.
Like that is a huge thing. A lot of people see it as just an expense, but it really is an investment, especially if it comes to like taking care of your health, taking care of your body. Like this stuff is it's priceless.
Yeah.
So why not have the equipment that's going to get you there? And that's exactly what we're doing. But we began cycling about a year ago. Yeah. And so how did this whole competition go about?
So then I was having a conversation with my brother, and we're uber competitive with each other, and we were just talking about different challenges, and I had actually completed a marathon in the past.
Yeah. A full marathon, right?
Full marathon. He says I walked a full marathon. I beg to differ a little bit, but so when I presented to him what a full Ironman was, I said, Roger, what do you think about a 2.4 mile swim?
Damn.
112 mile bike ride.
A 2.4 mile swim. Like I had problems with 150 meters just to get to the start sign. So how many meters is 2.4 miles?
I don't even know. I think it's
can
like,
you figure that out for us? I want to give you the contrast on this.
I want to say about 5,000 meters, but that's 4,800 or so. 2.4
miles. But yeah. So talk to me.
So at that point, you know, I told him it was a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile run, all in the same day.
Damn.
And he said, "Damn, that's a lot."
That is a lot.
And the moment I looked him in his eyes, and I think he was like, "I don't know if I could do that." I was like, "That's what I'm gonna do.
Nice,
I'm gonna do
bro.
a full Ironman."
So you were just trying to upstage your little brother.
That's it.
Dude, little brother, that's how much impact you have on Big Brother, man. He's got a complex here. So he decided to go all out.
That's it.
3,800 meters. So when I did my sprint triathlon, it was like 800 meters plus the start time, plus the 150, whatever that was. And, you know, I know there's rules and regulations. Like there was these little rafts that a bunch of lifeguards. There's a bunch of lifeguards. Like it's pretty safe out there. But I spent a lot of time, you know, like hanging on those rafts as well. Like any bayou that was near me, any raft, I was hanging on to those fuckers. Like I didn't care. I had stage after stage passing me up. I was like one of the last ones out. But it felt so good accomplishing it. But it came to a point where the lifeguard was like, "You gotta let go," like hitting me with a paddle, bro. You gotta let go. But it was
as long as you don't advance forward, you're okay though.
I didn't know that rule. I was just trying to survive.
I
didn't care if I got disqualified.
I looked up the rule book. I was game planning.
No, you see, you planned better than I did. And then, check this out. So I wasn't adequately prepared for my swim. And it turns out that I wasn't adequately prepared for my bike, even though I've been doing it. I know this now because the way I measured the air pressure on my tire was with my fingers.
That's that old school way right
Old school. Dude, like I was running on flats the entire time. I didn't know they had to be like 100 PSI. I was running like at 40. So I just made everything more difficult for myself. But it was little insights that I think has helped us all become better. Because it's just, you know, the preparation and then having the conversations on how you can prepare. Not saying that my mistakes, you know, got you there, but it's about constantly challenging ourselves. And you'll notice that, you know, we have a Badass Agents podcast, but we talk about what makes people a badass, you know, and it's outside of just real estate. When it comes to real estate, Jesse is killing it. You're going to have your best year ever, right?
That's it. I'm going to have my best year. I mean, I'm going to triple my business.
Triple his business. And do you attribute that to the habits now you have with taking care of your body and your mind, or like what do you attribute that to?
100% AZ. And it's one of those like when your body's operating at a peak level.
Yes.
Your mindset follows that.
Oh, absolutely.
Gives you the clarity, gives you the focus to be able to suffer. You suffer during the cycling, during your morning workout. And I just use that. I bring that massive momentum with me to the office, and I'm ready to kill the day. Like, there's nothing that's going to be harder throughout my day than what I suffered that morning.
And that's the beautiful part about it. You actually chose the pain, right? So the pains that come from obstacles is never as severe as it is the pain that we bring upon ourselves. Like, you know, not a lot of people will do what you're doing, going to the Ironman and then pushing yourself the way you do every morning. But that's just part of the DNA here with A's and Associates, is to continually improve our body, because we have to wake up our body. And waking up our mind during that process, like when we go cycling, we'll do anywhere between 25 to 50 miles, depending on the day. Mm-hmm. But never less than 25, it seems like. But we're hauling ass, man, 19, 20 miles an hour. And, you know, that's the time that I use to listen to my audiobooks. And I know you're an avid audiobook reader, and actually a physical book reader, right? That's it. How has that impacted the way you see yourself, and also like your business and just overall life in general, dude?
It just, I just think that like the power of a book, right? So you have someone's condensed life here. Yeah. Things like on the Do the Work 12-week target, mm-hmm. your book. Mm-hmm. These are things that you have invested 6 figures. Yeah. Way more. 6 figures. Yeah. And here you are putting it into a book format. Yeah. Delivering it to your agents. It's like, I would be absolutely crazy not to, you know, use this knowledge. Right. And for showing up to our summit event, mm-hmm. you know, it's literally, the information is out there, but you got to do it. Yeah. And
it's hard to do it when you don't condition yourself to actually do things. So part of this game is like, saying, like, you've become Mr. Consistent, dude. Like, I know I can rely on you. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to deliver. But that is a conditioning process, right? It's not like you came out like always operating from that manner.
Yeah, 100% AZ. Like, I was the most inconsistent person. Yeah. My word meant nothing. If I told my sister that I would be at her house to a birthday party, they weren't sure whether I was going to show up or not. Yeah. Now, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And more importantly, if I tell myself I'm going to do it, right, I'm going to do it. My word to myself is the most important thing, because if I can't believe myself, like subconsciously, it's if I'm lying to myself, and even though no one else is going to know, mm-hmm. but I committed to it, you know, it's a different game, but it's every single day.
It's about that trust becomes gold. Your word becomes gold, and you know it like the dynamic and everything just shifts. Like if you're able to deliver to yourself, you're able to deliver to the ones you love most. There's no question you're going to deliver to your clientele base, and that's what people can depend on you now. I mean, there is no accident you're going to triple your business. And it's not because you've learned additional skill set. It was reinforcing the mindset and the appreciation of who you are and who you can become. And this constant challenge of body and mind and just becoming better in all aspects bleeds into everything else. And, you know, I think that's huge. But Jesse, I mean, you're not just, you know, sitting here, good looking guy. You're not just all looks, bro. You have brains behind you. Aren't you like a chess master or something?
I am a avid chess player.
Avid chess player.
What's your score?
Oh, don't call me out like
Dude,
that.
He doesn't want to brag.
It's 1,200. 1,200, okay. 1,200.
I don't know what that means.
Chess.com.
But I'll pretend I know. That's impressive, dude. So like, how did you get into this chess game? Like, you also would mentor kids, right, from your old neighborhood, and you like to give back. That's one of the things that I've noticed. You're not just trying to reach, you know, this level of success and forget about, you know, some of your roots. But talk to me a little bit about how that came about.
Well, I was very fortunate to have a 6th grade teacher, Mr. Nilly, who completely altered the course of my life. Mm-hmm. Without that man in my life, I definitely wouldn't be in the position that I am today. And he was my 6th grade teacher, but he also ran a chess club. It's called the Surf and Chess Club. And this is a club that he developed for us to hang out after school. It has the surfing theme to it, just to kind of bring the fun aspect. If you think
because if you think chess, I'm like, you're thinking, I'd rather like...
Yeah, you're thinking 8 to 10 kids of the smartest kids, very quiet room, playing in the library. where he, we would listen to surf music. He just brought, he lived in California. He was a surfer. So he brought a fun aspect to it. He brought a fun aspect to the game that in order to be able to get masses into his classroom.
Good.
And it was just at that time, it was fun.
Yeah.
That's it. It was just fun. I didn't realize that I was learning a game of tactics to think ahead. If I did if I did this is going to happen. But if I do this can happen. To be able to think ahead, it's a game changer, AZ.
No, I see it. And it's a different level of thinking that you can strategize when in your negotiation. Do you see yourself kind of like having the advantage when you're dealing with other agents because of these skill sets?
100%. I mean, the game of chess.
It's an unfair advantage, bro.
You're thinking ahead. You're just thinking ahead while your opponent is thinking this. You're already 6 leaps, 6 moves ahead.
I love it. Now, we do chess, but here's another thing. We're talking badass agents, but you're a U.S. Army veteran, Marine. Oh, dude, I messed that up, dude. Are you okay? Can we continue on with this?
You know what? Cut the interview.
We're
done.
Sorry, Marines. To all you Marines, I apologize. To all you Army vets.
Semper Fi, Devil Dog.
Marines, Devil Dog here. So talk to me, dude. Like, how did that come about? What and where did you get stationed? What did you do? Did you actually do combat? Combat tour?
I was in 0311 Infantry, stationed in 29 Palms, California, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines Alpha Company.
Damn,
I did a deployment to Iraq. And
so you were in Iraq and on the ground floor doing the deed.
Doing what Marines do.
Damn, that sounds cool. That's cool, man. And how did that impact your life now, looking back and to what you're doing today? I mean, you're going to be, considered top 1% by the end of the year as far as the production of realtors here. Did you learn to appreciate that to get to this level? Or like, how do you see yourself during that time frame from a more wiser approach, I guess?
I just felt that I needed the discipline in my life. Growing up, I was able to do pretty much anything I wanted to do.
And we're going to get into that conversation right now because you have a very, very unique story, a sad story if you want to look at it that way, but a very empowering story because, your story really inspires me that, to overcome the ordeals that you did and be in the position you're in. Man, that is heroic. It is something that I really admire. But let's finish this up and then we'll get into that.
So, it was 2004. We had just
you were a young lad.
We had just invaded Iraq.
Okay. And I'm gonna see if I can bring up a picture while you're doing that. Go ahead and talk to me, Chief.
And I just felt that I owed it to my country. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than just myself. And I ended up enlisting, and I felt that if I was going to be serving, I needed to be enlisted in the infantry.
Okay.
And as it just taught me a lot of life lessons. Go to the next one.
Here's the next one. There's another one.
That's actually Corporal Clark.
Oh, okay. That wasn't
killed
you
in action.
Oh, he was killed. This is one of your comrades that was killed, or?
Yes.
Man, that has to be tough, huh? Having to deal with that. That was posted in 2010, and I think I have. I saw another one earlier. Here's you in a Humvee.
That's it right there.
You in a Humvee there.
Wow, that brings back memories.
I bet, man. And how long were you stationed there?
I was stationed in 29 Palms, California for 4 years. I did my 4 years there. I was in Iraq for 7 months.
Wow.
And we were right on the Syrian border, Al-Qaim, Iraq.
So you've been conditioned, I mean, to really just persevere. And, I know your story just because I know the person you were when we first crossed paths to who you are today. And there wasn't a lot of, and we talk about this really, there wasn't a lot of confidence coming from you, even though you've overcome big obstacles. Mm-hmm. You were in Iraq facing death, staring it right in the face. And then yet there wasn't that appreciation. There was still a lack of confidence. And it appears to me, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but over the years, just you being more conscious about the lessons that life is providing us. about the decisions and understanding that every decision that we make will impact our lives one way or another. And it appears to me like you've had this deep like transformation, and it wasn't really a transformation. It was just peeling back the layers and appreciation. I think it's more of appreciation because this person has always been in you. Do people respond to you different now, like based on who you were just even 2 years ago?
I would say I think my ability to own my story, AZ.
Yeah, own your story.
To own the story of everything that has happened to me is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very shamed, or I wouldn't share this stuff that has occurred in my life with even my closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
It was always very
almost like surface level, like
very surface level.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, when you encouraged me to share my story and to, regardless of what people thought, to be true to myself, and that's just carried over into, they say what when you have nothing to hide and you enter a room, you're single-handedly the most powerful person in that room.
Absolutely.
And this is who I am. This is me.
I love it.
Hat, I was thinking, no, I'm like, no, I'll wear a hat.
Yeah.
This is me.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I am. And
embracing that aspect for you realtors out there, small business owners, it really comes down to a game of like everything's changed, right? The game of marketing has changed. Personal branding has changed. And, people will work with companies based on the person that is leading it. And it used to be very different before, and I heard this just on a podcast earlier where people would go based on a company name. But nowadays, with the ability to communicate with more people personally, right? People want to know who they're working with, what they're about. And I think the people that are the most successful are the ones that are able to share authentically who they are to the core because people trust them. I trust people that I know more about. But if you're just giving me this posturing and the surface level, I'm watching you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching you. I'm like, okay, we'll work at some formats, but I'm not keeping my eyes off you.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody that I know is living in a complete truth. There's a connection there. And Jesse, like you lost your parents at a very young age. And it wasn't because it wasn't because of natural causes or anything. It was a very horrific, life-altering situation. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, how old were you when you lost both of your parents?
I was 12 years old, AZ.
You were 12 years old. So you're in a very impressionable age.
And very critical age where you're in junior high at this point.
Yeah.
Drugs are starting to be introduced.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very important stage there at 12 years old.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the decisions you make during that age group, I mean, can really alter your entire future. And how did your parents pass away, and where were you in the scope of everything when they went down? Can you tell us a little bit about that story? I know you've, and people can follow, if you could visit, what's your website?
You can follow me on Facebook.
On Facebook, okay. That's the one. And they can also apply to work with you or work with you if they're looking to buy or sell. But talk to me a little bit about what occurred the day that you lost your parents.
We were actually going to Mexico, to Michoacan, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
This was during spring break. Mm-hmm. It was all the family was there, minus my oldest sister, Sandra. Mm-hmm. And we were involved in a rollover accident where both of my parents ejected out of the vehicle.
And you were in that same car, correct?
I was in that same car. I had my little brother, Roger, my sister, Denise, my other sister, Karen, were all in the vehicle.
And how did this occur? They just were ejected and...
Yeah, I mean, it must have been about 5 a.m. We were all sleeping. And I just felt the car flipping in the air.
Wow.
And when everything kind of settled, I actually stayed inside of the vehicle with my sister, Denise. She was kind of like trapped in there, and I remember I helped remove something off of her leg. And when we crawled out of the vehicle, I remember looking for my parents.
Wow.
And I actually found my dad first.
So were they still alive at this point?
They were alive still.
Wow.
And so I shared some words with him.
Mm-hmm.
I just told him that I loved him, and then I went to go look for my mom. My mom had ejected further from the vehicle. She appeared to be in worse shape.
Wow.
I shared some words with her as well, and at this point, I hugged her, and I went to go look for some help.
Wow. So they were there, and then so how long did it take before like any help actually occurred?
It must have been. It felt like hours, and it might have been about 25 minutes or so until the ambulance got there, and they actually heloed them out. And you know, after everything happened, we didn't know where our parents were at, so all of my siblings were taken to the hospital just to like be evaluated. And I literally had nothing on me. Like I had like a little scratch on my wrist.
Wow.
That's it.
So you just
and so after, we didn't know what happened. They just separated. You know, we saw my parents leave in a helicopter, and then someone that we didn't know stopped, because it was in Guadalajara where it happened, the accident. And so it's probably about another 6 to 8 hour drive to Michoacan, Mexico, where my family's from. And so someone showed up to the hospital, and basically we went with them. And he said they knew our family and that they had sent him to pick us up. He didn't mention anything about our parents. We would ask him, you know, where are our parents at? He didn't say nothing. So up until the point that we got to my grandma's house. And when we walked inside my grandma's house, there was a lot of people there, family members. And without them having to say a single word, I remember I looked over and I said, both of them?
wow.
And they nodded, and I just broke.
Man, I got chills. I could only imagine. I mean, my daughter's 13 years old. You know, if something like that happened, I could only imagine the confusion, the hurt, the pain, all involved with that. And that really, you know, you found a lot of appreciation for those series of events looking back, right? And it's kind of difficult to say it that way, you know, because, you know, it's a tragedy. And I don't think everyone will understand, but we had a conversation about this, Jesse, and you found that it really molded the person you are today. And it goes back to what you said earlier, you know, everything happens, you know, for a reason, and we can control a lot of that based on our own actions. But there's a deep sense of appreciation of everything that has gone after that, right?
It's almost, it disgusts me to say, Z, but I can tell you that if I had my parents alive today, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I would have taken them for granted.
Yeah.
It absolutely 100% has shaped the person that I am. Like, I have this fire that burns in me to show that, hey, these are the cards I was dealt in life. You know, some people are born with no legs. Right. Some people are born with being in an abusive family environment.
Right.
These were the cards that I was dealt. And it's, what do you do after those cards are dealt to you? How do you respond to that? And I've always come from a place of like, I'm not going to be a statistic. Right. I'm going to be the outlier. I'm going to, and as I've embraced my story, you know, I go around, you know, talking to junior high kids, sharing my story.
Yes.
And it's like, if I can do it, so can you. You just have to make the choice.
Man.
And do the work.
Do the work, absolutely, man. Like that is powerful, and it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring, and I think oftentimes when we face a tragedy, we become victimized. We become victim to the circumstances, and we give ourselves excuses of why we can't do certain things. When in reality, it was meant to mold us and forge us into this powerhouse. Like you just mentioned, when you said, "I am on fire," I feel that fire. I felt the energy as well, and this comes from a deep pain. That pain then molded you, and you became more powerful because of that. And as you started to embrace all aspects of it, and then start appreciating, the time you did have with your parents, but what it ultimately was supposed to happen in your life, it is a beautiful story. It is an unbelievable story.
It's a beautiful story, AZ. I mean, my brother, the relationship I have with my brother.
Oh,
and
you and your family are tight, dude. I love like watching you and seeing you all over social media. I'll see if I can show a picture here. But when you did your Ironman 70.3 challenge, they were all there, man. They were all there.
They were there representing and cheering me on. I mean, I had people who were running next to me, participating, mentioning that, man, your family is everywhere. There's a bunch of you guys.
There's a bunch of you guys. Abarca's everywhere.
And they kept running to different locations.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw them all throughout the entire course.
Dude, that is beautiful.
They probably put in about 20 miles of running themselves.
No, but I love that, man, because you're right. The relationship you have now with your family, it could have been a byproduct of this, and, God works in mysterious ways. But it's always the thing that was supposed to happen. And, if we see that as a lesson, as an appreciation of, okay, where is this going? It just becomes like we just talked about, a very beautiful life, a very fulfilling life. There is no longer a void. That void is now filled in with that appreciation. Like, thank you. Thank you for these experiences. Thank you for allowing me to feel the pain, Lord, because I am alive.
I'm alive.
And you're taking full advantage of it, bro. And I love it. As a matter of fact, man, I just ran into a picture here. Dude, look at you. You're like a shredded beast here, man. Look at that. Look at those abs, man.
God bless America.
God bless. Look at you. A blessing to America. Look at you, bro.
Product of doing the work.
And I love that. And for you ladies out there, he is single. He is single, right? There he is.
Single, bilingual. That's all I got.
I have. That's as far as my rhyming.
That's all I got.
My rhyming skill sets go. But Jesse, no, man, I want to thank you for sharing, this aspect of your life. Not a lot of people are open to doing that, and that's the whole point of this podcast, to be able to bring a different side to this game. Not just to bring agents on board to tell you how cool they are, how much they sold, and how they all have it figured out. The reality is, the game of life, there's always something to figure out. There's no arrival point. And it's people like this that keep me on fire. It's these conversations that people are like, how are you growing so fast? Well, I have no option but to grow, because there's inspiration all around me. Like, your story inspires me to go out and go for more and become a better father, right? Better businessman. Where can I push myself to become that businessman? It's not about the money. And it seems like when it really is this. When there is no focus, you focus less on money, Jesse, today than you ever have.
It's a byproduct.
And now you have more of it than you've ever had. And it's like the focus has to be on the passions and how we can improve ourselves. And everyone's caught up on this thing of like, well, I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I was born to do. And it's like, dude, I'll tell you what your purpose is. I'm going to simplify this shit for you. All right. For those of you that are lost and trying to like become victim to the I don't have a purpose conversation, I'm going to tell you what it is. Are you ready for it? The purpose is to expand yourself, is to become the better you, is just to live life for you. And when you are happy with yourself, you're able to give more of you. But it's every aspect of it. Your body, overall sense of being, right? Connection with the higher power. And taking care of your family, being well connected, and just running a solid business. I mean, you think about those items, you become good at all those things. Like, life becomes purpose driven.
You really can have it all.
Yeah, dude, that was a conversation I didn't understand. And for many of us, we just don't get it, right? We don't see it.
You can have it all. It's not overnight success. It's every single day surrounding yourself. I mean, I'm surrounded in the office by badass realtors like Frank Martin.
Frank
Rio.
Martin's a badass. We're gonna bring him here.
We
Rio,
got
we're gonna
my
bring
boy
that dude here.
Rio. I mean, just
You got a new neighbor, Denise.
Denise
We got
Adame.
Hillary right across from you.
Just a bunch of top producing agents who are also not only killing it in business, but killing it on all aspects.
Dude, like, it is amazing.
And they'll call you out.
Yeah.
If you don't show up, if you don't, you know, if you don't keep your word, they will call you out, and I'll call them out.
Yeah.
And it just works.
It works, man. Because and here's the thing, like, everyone wants to surround themselves with people that are doing it. Like, no one wants to be just the only one doing it, right? It's like, okay, so I'm challenged when I see others moving at a fast pace, so I need that around me. And not just in business. Like, I used to be in environments where all we focused on was the numbers, and dude, I got burnt out. But now let's have a different conversation. Let's talk about how good of a shape you can be in. Let's talk about the next challenge, the Ironman, right? Or like we're doing a cycling challenge. Real and I are you gonna be part of that too? Dude, you're a monster.
I won't be doing the November one.
Okay, we're doing a Centurion 100-mile ride for the first time. So these are the challenges we're talking about. We're also talking about, like, overall, what book have you read? Like what did you learn from it? What are the lessons that you got from it? How does it apply to your life?
What are your third quarter targets?
Third quarter targets, yeah,
with your
business.
family, you know.
What systems are going to apply?
And we're all speaking the same language.
Absolutely.
We're all on the same. You know, it's hey, well, you know, and we make adjustments to our targets, and it's just the environment is just because it's people think, and I've had conversations where it's like, oh well, it's amazing what you do. You guys get up early in the morning. You're out there riding bike. It's not like I want to sleep in.
Yeah, same here.
I still want to sleep in. Like, it's a daily struggle, but I know that I love the feeling of being done more than the horrible feeling of getting out of my bed in the first thing in the morning.
Yeah, like feeling accomplished versus sleeping in. Like, anytime I don't do something, like I was just talking about this on when was it, Tuesday? I couldn't get to the gym. I had an early appointment. And that my conscience was like gnawing at me, dude. I didn't feel energized. I felt defeated because I didn't do the things I said. Now it's a conditioning process that if I wake up my body, I wake up my mind, I am going to dominate the day over the guy that just rolls out of bed and trying to get my clientele base.
He has no chance.
No chance. I'm going to kill him. I am going to kill him or her. And that's the kind of mindset we got to have. It's like we got to prepare. We got to, like, wake our bodies up to go and dominate the day. And that's just the only way to live, Jess. I love it, man. And now let me go ahead and ask you a real estate question here, because we have realtors listening to us. And what would you say to, like, let's talk about both a newer agent, but let's go with an experienced agent first. So let's say, now I'm going to paint the scenario for you. And I see a lot of these individuals, okay, and they can pretend all day long that everything's all right, everything's all good, like I used to do, and I get it, okay. We got to put up a facade, a posture. Everything is fine. My life is fine. But what would you say to those seasoned agents? Because this is a tough business, Jesse. Like, this is a tough business to be in. Emotional roller coasters, like obstacles coming out of left field on a consistent basis. 1 month you're on fire, the next month you're like, what the hell just happened? That's just the nature of the beast. But what would you tell an agent that has been in this business, let's say 5-10 years, and it's making a successful having a successful life, right, financially, but it's kind of just going through the motions. Nothing has really improved. Their business hasn't grown by 3 times, like you just said. Their body is not getting any better. In fact, they've gained 30, 40 pounds. Their marriage is going down the drain. Very little connection with their kids or their family members. And they're just going through the monotony of this game. Like, what would you tell those guys? Because I know I was there at one point. And Jesse, you were there as well. Like, what is a pivotal decision that you made? Or what would you tell these guys that have been watching us now for quite some time and maybe are intimidated by the beards or intimidated by our philosophies? What would you tell these people to like really live a life on fire?
Okay. Well, you said the purpose of life was expansion, and we had been in communication before I finally took the leap
Yeah.
over to AZ and Associates.
And it was like a 2-year, right? 2-year process.
It was 2 years, and I had been following your stuff. I really liked, your of having it all, right? Not just getting the next paycheck, but having a life that was on fire on all aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But I remained loyal to a brokerage that was no longer serving me.
Right.
And I was very torn between my loyalty and joining forces with you guys. What I would tell the other agent is, don't be like me that had to burn everything to the ground financially, with my business, with my family, in a relationship. Don't be like me where I had to destroy everything in order to finally recognize that I needed to be in an environment that could serve me. I've learned so much leadership skills from you, AZ.
Thank you, bro.
And being in the Marine Corps, like the leadership skills of just watching you interact, being in the office, the consistency. It is such a blessing to be around these agents. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family to at least have a conversation with you guys, you and Carla.
Man, that's huge.
To have that conversation, because it's not just about selling X amount of houses. It's, if you have a ton of money but your wife hates you,
right?
Your kids don't know you, but you have a ton of money that can buy them season tickets to the Cardinals, right? But if they don't know who dad is, I don't know. And if they owe it to themselves and they owe it to their families to have a conversation with you guys.
Man, I absolutely love it. And here's the thing, like, your voice led you to us to, like, before you joined, but you were unwilling to pull the trigger, right? Because of this loyalty aspect. And I get it. I think we're all brought up like, hey, loyalty is the thing. But it's when we redefine what loyalty truly means. And here's what I want you to hear me out, guys, here. And a lot of us confuse loyalty with just time in a relationship, right? It could be a business relationship. It could be a marriage. It could be best friends. It could be even siblings, parents maybe. That I have to be loyal because of this time we have invested. They were there for me during this time. And one of the things that I realized is that, loyalty is about the value they bring to you today. And it sounds selfish, but it's not. You really got to think about this, because I don't expect anyone to be in a relationship with me and give me their loyalty if I'm unable to provide the value on a daily basis. If I don't invest the time and effort to really grow myself first and foremost so that I can give them the best of me. I don't expect my wife to stick around just because we've been married, right? 14 years. I have to give her the best of me to gain her loyalty. And we confuse that sometimes. And the reality is, it's not loyalty, it's complacency. It's being unable to break those ties because there might be something greater for you, which means there'll be more responsibility for you. At least that's how it was in my life and in Jesse's. And we got to get this conversation of loyalty out of the place and say, what do you want? What do you want to create? Is the environment you're in right now going to support you in whatever business you're in? Real estate, maybe you're working for someone. But if the value's not there, you got to rethink that strategy and take the conversation of loyalty out of it. Because at the end of the day, you can't suppress greatness. This guy right here, this fucking American hero, badass, consistent, one of the most consistent people I know, wouldn't be here right now if you continue to suppress who you were and who you are.
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
You're going to freaking dominate it. Awesome, brother. Well, that's almost the 40-minute mark. Jess, that's the time we had. I want to thank you, man, for coming in and being so open and honest and raw and real, dude, with this entire conversation. I think a lot of you will appreciate that, because guess what? Success comes in different shapes and sizes and different attitudes. You don't have to posture. You don't have to play somebody else's game. You don't have to fit within a square where people tell you what you need to look like, what you need to, how you need to speak, how you need to communicate. You be you powerfully, and you'll attract the right people. Not only that, you'll start running circles around others. And that's the game right there. We got Real saying, honored to run with both of you. I appreciate you, Real.
The real
Edgar, what's
deal.
going on, my brother? We're going cycling on Friday. Kyle Taylor, what's going on? Two badass dudes. Real, the chess player who volunteered for infantry. That's a book right there. The chess player who volunteered for infantry. Nitsa, what's going on, sister? Got my sister on here. She's a fan of Jesse. Get to know this guy. If you're in the market to buy or sell, you know where to go. Jesse Abarca. Look him up on Facebook. Follow this dude. He's always got something going on. And one last question, Jess. Sobriety. How's that going, man?
So I was sober I made a commitment to be sober as I was leading into my Ironman training. I did have a beer after the Ironman.
We call that relapse.
See, look at even right there, being called out, right?
Yeah, right.
Like being called out on. Most people would say, "Wow, 45 days. That's awesome.
No,
that's great.
45 days is cool. I consider it a pregame.
Then I gave myself the excuse.
Yeah.
Well, I deserve this.
No,
right?
And that is it. And after you have that, you're like, fuck, I broke my cycle. It's like, why did I even go that route?
Frank Martin Jr., he texted me with a picture of me.
Oh, wow.
And he said he was doing some recon missioning and called me out. Like, that's what I love about this brokerage.
And I hope you're back on it, bro, because I think we all understand of just running at an optimal level. Not to say that we can't have fun doing certain things, but, we really talk about how we can continue to reinforce what makes us powerful, right? Without leaking power. And sometimes alcohol does that. One doesn't do any harm, but I'm the type of guy that, as I gave up drinking, I just couldn't stop at one. And, but it's been, my life has been completely altered. And, the painful lessons that I learned before of over drinking, the mistakes that I made, the
game of sedation.
Yeah, and not only that, getting, DUI and the whole 9 yards just really changed everything for me. Not knowing that I had a problem, and going through that process of rediscovering myself, and I think we again sometimes we have to go to the deep dark pits of our life to really come out shining on the other side. But we're gonna get you back to 45 days, and then you're gonna do 90 days right after that, dude. So. Be ready for that. There will be no drinking after your Ironman. All right?
Yeah, right there.
I'll give you a cold brew. That's about the only thing you'll have. A cold brew.
Yeah,
Thanks again for this, man. You're way to my heart, bro. Like, I really appreciate you because I was going to drill down on you today, but you brought me a nitro cold brew. Guys, that's...
Got to lather them up before you shave them.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Badass Agents Podcast. We will be on iTunes, Google Play, and all those things here by Friday of next week. We got our teams working on this feverishly. And thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live. And until next time, I am your host, AZ Arajo, and we will talk to you soon.